gears a little bit, since it is Future Fest, looking to the future, right? We started 30 years in the past, but the future keeps accelerating. So let's maybe look 20 years in the future for an equivalent leap. Arguably 5 years in the future might be equivalent to the past 30, but let's say 20. So the year 2035, what does the future look like, as far as you can tell? What would you, 20 years, yeah, 2035, okay. Yeah, 20 years.
It's always really tricky to predict the future. I mean, some of it's pretty obvious, like computing power is going to be just crazy. And the big change is the cost of computing power. Not so much the sort of circuit density, sort of the Moore's law thing. But if you look at, say, what is the actual dollars per per instruction, and that is, I mean that cost is dropping exponentially. I mean, if you think about it, like if you're making a computer, you're rearranging silicon and copper, so on a little chip, and once the capital cost of the development and the chip plant is paid for, the marginal cost of a chip is very, very tiny. So I think we'll see massively parallel computers and computing power and storage being, as much as you want.
And it's interesting. I too start with that. Like if I don't know what else to predict, but as a foundational thing, this seems like the safest starting, premise. But then, what does that ripple through to in fields like genetics and AI, which you mentioned, autonomous driving, space-related topics?
I mean, just ubiquitous computing everywhere. I think AI is going to be incredibly sophisticated in 20 years.
When does it first wake up?
It seems to be accelerating, and the tricky thing about predicting things when there's an exponential is that an exponential looks linear close up.